Hi everybody, I'm Ted Perry and I'm going to read to you one of my favorite kids' books. It's called 𝘚𝘤𝘪 Scientist. Here we go. 𝘚𝘤𝘪𝘴 said not a word until she turned 3. She bounced in her crib, she looked all around, observing the world, but not making a sound. She learned how to climb and made her big break with a trail of chaos left in her wake. She ran through the day, chasing each sound in sight, and didn't slow down until she conked out at night. These are her parents right there. Her parents were frazzled, but tried not to freak as Ada grew bigger and still did not speak. Clearly, young Ada, with lots in her head, would have something to say when it ought to be said. That's just what happened when Ada turned 3. She tore through the house on a fact-finding spree and climbed up the clock as high as she could. Her parents yelled, "Stop!" as all good parents would. Ada's chin quivered, but she did not cry. She took a deep breath and simply asked, "Why?" I know you've all said that to your folks. Why does it tick and why does it talk and why don't we call it a granddaughter clock? Why are there pointy things stuck to a rose? Why are there little hairs up my nose? She started with why and then what, how, and when. By bedtime, she came back to why once again. She drifted to sleep as her dazed parents smiled at the curious thoughts of their curious child, who wanted to know what the world was about. They kissed her and whispered, "You'll figure it out." And there's young Ada asking all the questions, why, what, how, when, why. Her parents kept up with her high-flying kid, whose questions and chaos both grew as she did. See what's happening there? All those soda bottles exploding? What is Ada up to? Even Miss Greer found her hands were quite full when young Ada's chaos wreaked havoc at school. But this much was clear about Miss Ada Twist: she had all the traits of a great scientist. Ada was busy that first day of spring testing the sounds that make mockingbirds sing when a horrible stench whacked her right in the nose, a pungent aroma that curled up her toes. "Zowie," said Ada, which got her to thinking, what is the source of that terrible stinking? How does a nose know something's to smell? And how does it stink if there's no nose to tell? She rattled off questions, she tapped on her chin. She'd start at the start where she ought to begin. A mystery, a riddle, a puzzle, a quest. This was the moment that Ada loved best. She was going to find out what that smell was. And there she is. Look at her test right there. She's working on a science experiment right there, young Ada is. Ada did research to learn all she could of smelling and smells, both the stinky and good. One hypothesis Ada thought could be true. The terrible stink came from Dad's cabbage stew. She tested and tested, but soon Ada knew it was time to come up with hypothesis 2. Then zowie, the stink stuck again, just like that. Hypothesis 2, it's caused by the cat? The cat couldn't make such a stink on its own. It needed perfume and some fancy cologne. So young Ada tested, and the test was a flop. She started again, but her parents yelled, "Stop." She was going to put the cat in the dryer. You can't put your cat in the washer or your dryer. 𝘚𝘤𝘪𝘴, to the thinking chair now, by the time we count 3. "Enough," said her mother. "That's it," said her dad. Her parents were frustrated, frazzled, and mad. "Why?" Ada questioned. Her mother said no. "What?" Ada queried. Her father said, "Go. You've ruined our supper. You've made the cat stink. Enough with your questions. Now sit there and think." She looked at her parents. Her heart turned to goo. Poor Ada Twist didn't know what to do. So there she is sitting all alone. You've all been given a timeout, I bet, once in a while, so you know what young Ada is thinking. She sat all alone by herself in the hall, and Ada once more could say nothing at all. And so Ada sat and she sat and she sat and she thought about science and about Stu and the cat, how her experiments made such a big mess. Does it have to be so? Is that part of success? Are messes a problem? While she was thinking, what was the source of that terrible stinking? Ada Marie did what scientists do. She asked a small question, and then she asked two. Her parents calmed down, and they came back to talk. They looked at the hallway and just had to gawk. No patch of bare paint could be seen on the wall. The thinking chair was now the great thinking hall. They watched their young daughter and sighed as they did. What would they do with this curious kid who wanted to know what the world was about? They smiled and whispered, "We'll figure it out." Look at all the things that Ada had written on the walls. It's not good to write on the walls, but Ada had a lot of questions. And that's what they did, because that's what you do when your kid has a passion and a heart that's true. They remade their world. Now they're all in the act of helping young Ada sort fiction from fact. She asks lots of questions. How could she resist? It's all in the heart of a young scientist. So they've turned their home into a laboratory for Ada to do her experiments. And as for that smell, what can Ada Twist do but learn all she can with her friends in grade 2? Well, that is the question, and someday, who knows? So I hope you find something you're as curious about as Ada is about where smells and sounds and all that comes from. Thanks for listening, guys.